Good day. My name is Ted Gutierrez, and I'm the State Director for the Virgin Islands Small Business Development Center. Today's September 2nd, Friday, 2022. So thank you very much for taking time out of your day to go with me on this journey in terms of going a little bit deeper into the Small Business Innovation Grant, and give you kind of a highlight of what the process has been and where we are at this point. So if you'll bear with me for 1 second here, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to go through a PowerPoint that's going to answer a lot of questions that many of you already have out there. So 1 second here, share, and here we go. Perfect. Once again, my name is Ted Gutierrez, and I'm the State Director for the Small Business Development Center. And I'm presenting this webinar in partnership with Governor Albert Bryant Jr. and wanted to give an update on what's going on with the Innovation Grant. So give me 1 second here. Next. All right. So just to recap what the Innovation Grant was about, is this was offered by the Office of Governor Albert Bryant Jr. in collaboration with the Small Business Development Center. The idea was to provide grants up to $50,000 per business. Now, the focus for this grant is innovation. Essentially, how has your business been innovative? Considering the recent economic COVID turmoil, still recovering from the hurricanes of 2017, and how are you going to use innovation for future resiliency and sustainability? There was a few elements here of eligibility. Essentially, in order to be eligible for the grant, not necessarily to receive the grant, but to be eligible for the grant. And that's how all grants work. There's two tiers. You have to meet an eligibility requirement. Plus, then you have the reviewers have to review the grant to see if you actually meet the what's required of the grant to be awarded. So the minimum eligibility was to provide registration with the Lieutenant Governor's Office or Certificate of Good Standing for 2022. Other exceptions may be a certificate of trade name if you're a sole proprietor, or of course, whatever various document you would need it to show that you're actually legally registered with the U.S. Virgin Islands to do business in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Less than 100 employees, which was not a big issue for any of our applicants. In business, a minimum of 6 times from the time of application. So the application started on May 2nd and essentially ended on July 6th. So if you were in business from December 2021 or started business in December 2021 or up to January 6, 2022, essentially you were eligible provided that you were actually in business doing sales, because once again, this grant is to reward those businesses who are still in business. You had to provide bona fide records or sales of profit and loss or income statements for 2022, which was a very simple profit and loss showing where you are for 2021/2022. We asked for the most recent 6 months of profit and loss statements or /income statements. The copy of current licensure, typically it's going to come from Department of Licensing and Consumer Affairs or other agencies, for example, Department of Health and Human Services for 2022, showing that you are once again legally registered and licensed to do business, operate in the Virgin Islands. And of course, if you're an online business, for example, if I had Ted's marketing service online to show that I am doing business in the Virgin Islands, we ask that you provide local bank statements showing activity for your online business. We ask that all completed applications be submitted either in person at either location in St. Croix or St. Thomas, or to email them in. So it was a very, very lengthy time of application, a little over 6 weeks, plus we added an additional 10 days, actually a little bit over 10 days. So it was almost 2 full months of accepting applications. And of course, we did several webinars. We were on the Inside the Cabinet, I believe, was a television show we were on. We were on the radio talking about this. Many of our partners did multiple email blasts. Essentially, we used all types of revenues or sources, not revenue, I'm sorry, all types of sources to get the word out to the small businesses here in the territory. So I want to go over the application review process. Well, there were almost 1,000 applicants for this Small Business Innovation Grant, which I was super excited about. Quite honestly, I wish we would have had 5,000 applications, but that's maybe for next time. Hopefully, if there is a next time. So we received almost 1,000 applications in both segments for the first round of applications. And then when it was extended, we added those applications as well. So totals almost 1,000 applications. From there, the Virgin Islands Small Business Development staff organized and prepared all the applications for review. Okay. And essentially there were two separate reviews for that process. What they initially did was they reviewed for the eligibility based on the criteria and the grant application guidelines. Remember, licensed, registered, profit and loss statement. That was just to meet the eligibility requirements. That, once again, does not guarantee you are going to get a loan, but just to meet the application eligibility requirements. Initially, I had mentioned in some of the webinars that we do not have the staff or the person power to email or let people know if they're missing documents. However, we did do that during the first round of applications. If they were missing any documents, we did reach out to them and either email them or call them, let them know that they were missing certain documents and ask them to turn them in. Now, once the applications were reviewed, they were either deemed eligible or not eligible, ineligible, actually a better term. And of course, the eligible ones were then sent on for the review process from the committee. Those that were not eligible were put aside because either A, they didn't meet the eligibility requirement, or of course, I'm going to go into a couple other things of why they were not eligible for the actual grant. We put together an independent committee from St. Thomas, St. Croix, and St. John to review the first group of eligible applications. And those were dated May 2nd to June 15th. Now, the committee was made up of people from private business sectors, made up of one of the SBDC staff, not myself, and also made up from a representative from the university. So we were all objective committee members that were reviewing these particular applications. Nobody from the government's office, nobody within the government actually reviewed the applications. So we were very proud of the fact that the committee was an independent, objective committee that reviewed all of the eligible applications. Then, of course, the second round of applications were reviewed for eligibility, and then those were then passed on to the committee as well. And of course, the narrative questions weighed heavily on the application, right? And if you don't recall, those questions were, how has your business used innovation? How are you going to use the money if you were awarded the money? And we asked that if you're providing, going to provide a new service, if you're purchasing equipment, we ask that you provided some sort of background of where you got the money or where you got the project, or to provide quotes, estimates, detailed explanation of what innovation means to your project, your piece of equipment going forward. And of course, then the third one is, how is this going to allow your business to build sustainability and resiliency going forward. So of course, the committee reviewed the essay question answers for questions for previous, current, and future innovative strategies. Once again, looking at resiliency, sustainability, and future growth. There was no right or wrong answers to the narrative questions. However, as we said in the several media outlets, this was really the time for the applicants to explain why they feel like they should get the application or actually receive the grant money, to really explain and make your case to the committee. Emphasis was placed on question number 2, which was, how are your business going to use the money if awarded the grant? And I see there's a typo there, it should be used, for the grant provided. We asked all applicants to provide detailed information, including estimates for equipment, services, and projects. So that's something that we asked, so that way the committee can get a better idea of what your business was going to do that was innovative going forward. Now, those that were not deemed eligible were put into a separate file. And of course, there's various reasons why a business was not eligible. And these are some of the few reasons why a business was not eligible. They didn't include the current registration, did not include licensure from DLCA or DHS or whatever they needed. In some case, taxi commission, there was no license attached. They did not include financial information, including a profit and loss statement or / income statement. Many folks supplied tax returns from 2021, and that was never a requirement. If you go back to the original application, we did not ask for tax statements. The reason why is tax statements represent 2021, not current year 2022. So many of those applications that included tax documents was actually incomplete because they didn't submit what we were looking for or we asked. If there was a new business, we had several businesses that just started within the last few months. A lot of the cases didn't have signatures, or they're basically just incomplete. They didn't answer any of the questions. They forgot one of the documents or several of the documents. So those were the applications that were deemed ineligible, okay? And from there, they didn't make it onto the review process. Of course, anytime you submit a grant application, it's like a puzzle, right? There's certain elements that have to be in there. And the elements that were not included in the application did not form the actual puzzle to your application. Therefore, it was incomplete. The reviewers were not able to actually review your business because it was an incomplete application. Now, if your business was eligible but did not receive the grant, okay, and this is where we're getting a lot of questions is, I submitted my application, I should have been eligible, but I did not receive the grant, okay? So eligibility, once again, does not automatically equal receiving the grant. That just means you meet the minimum standards or qualifications, and then the committee will review your application to figure out whether or not you truly answer the innovative portion of the grant, and you, once again, provided documents in terms of quotes, estimates, explanation on your project or your business or what you're doing going forward with innovation. So see, these are some of the major overall reasons why some of the eligible applications did not receive the grant. Many of them were no innovation at all, whether it was past, present, or more importantly, future, what they're going to do for future, right? No innovation. You know, innovation was really relatively subjective in terms of you tell us what innovative things that your business was going to do. And once again, that was really your opportunity to explain to the committee what innovation is to you. And quite simply put, many of the businesses had zero innovation. It was more of, I need to do the X, Y, or Z, but nothing had to do with innovation. It was more of operating expenses. And I'm going to get into a little bit of some of the items that were listed on what they were going to do with the money in a few slides over. Once again, incomplete answers, no explanation, no reasoning, no supporting information, didn't include any type of estimates or quotes. Many of these innovative ideas were not truly innovative, but they were more of operating costs. For example, construction costs, renovation costs, finishing projects that were already in the works, or doing some future projects that really was not based on innovation. It was basically on operating expenses. Some of the other explanations were repairs to vehicles, purchasing equipment or paying for leases, repayment of debt, using money to pay for your rent, hiring employees, which while that's great for every business, that's not innovative. Hiring an employee is something that you would do in the normal process of business. It's not an innovation to hire somebody. So that's where a lot of eligible applicants reasoning for not receiving the grant. Once again, it was a lot of things, repairs, repayment of debt, paying off past taxes, paying their credit cards, things of that nature. This wasn't a grant just to give money out. It was based on innovation. And if you did not show innovation in your application, then it did not qualify to receive the grant. Oh, some more things here. Traditional advertising, like we're going to put ads in the paper, We're going to hire employees. Once again, that's great if you're able to hire employees, but that's not innovation. A lot of applications said we're going to train our staff to be better. That's not innovative. That's things that hopefully businesses should already be doing. A lot of businesses wanted to hire interns. While that's great, it's not innovative. To hire an intern, essentially, you're paying the intern to come in and work for your business. A lot of requests because they wanted to travel to conferences. They wanted to use this grant to pay for them to go to conferences all over the United States and some outside of the US. Once again, that's not innovative. Payroll. A lot of businesses wanted to use the money for payroll, either to pay themselves back for paying out of pocket for the last couple of years, or paying back payroll to employees. Once again, that's not innovative. That's just a normal process of doing business. Working capital. Many applications said we're going to use this money, put it in the bank, and use it for any costs that come up, right? New vehicles without innovative justification. I saw so many applications. The committee saw so many applications that said, I want to purchase a new Cadillac Escalade because I'm a taxi, and we're going to purchase a new Escalade. We're going to purchase a medallion. Well, in and of itself, that's not innovative to purchase a vehicle or to purchase a medallion. Those are some of the reasons why they did not receive the grant. Inventory was another big one. We're going to purchase inventory now with this money so we can keep our prices low. That's not innovation. That's just normal operating cost inventory for the use of that money. So, and once again, these are all great ideas, but they're just not innovative ideas. These are just the normal incurred expenses that a business would typically have during the course of its life of its business, whether you're a sole proprietor or whether you're a corporation. Okay, now I want to talk a little bit about the application review process for eligible applications. Okay, and for those that made it to the committee. Each application was thoroughly discussed by the committee, and a grant amount award is recommended. And the grants range anywhere from $1,000 to $50,000. Okay, so not everybody got $50,000, not everybody got $1,000. It was a spectrum of awards that were discussed, trust me, at length by the committee for each application. And essentially, we reviewed what they're going to use the money for, how it's going to be innovative. When I say we, I say the committee, not me. Once again, but I'm going to probably continue to use we because I am part of this, right? And we as an SBDC term is because we are one cohesive group, and we just like to make sure that we're doing the right thing by having the objective committee here reviewing the applications. Okay, the breakdown of award recipients. Now I know this was a concern, how many applications or how many grants were for each island. Well, here's the breakdown. We had 130 businesses receiving the grant from St. Croix, 174 from St. Thomas, 31 from St. John, and 1 from Water Island. And all of the applicants who will receive the grant were notified by email on August 30th and 31st. Now, if an eligible applicant did not have an email, the SBDC reached out to all the applications that did not have an email to get an email so that we could reach out to them, because we just didn't have the staffing or the capacity to call what I mentioned, almost 400 businesses to let them know that they are awarded the application or the grant. Before I go back, I'm sorry, let me go back here. Okay, so if a business was eligible and did not receive a grant, or if a business was ineligible from the get-go, once again, our idea is that we're not going to publicize those businesses that did not receive money. That's not fair to those businesses. We're going to keep those applications on file. And I'm going to talk a little bit later on about how you can find out a little bit more information on why your business did not get the grant. And of course, every single person is going to feel like they were innovative and they should have received the grant. But essentially, unfortunately, that's just not the case. You didn't meet the criteria, didn't answer the questions correctly. So we decided to only email those who are going to be receiving a grant. Okay. And of course, we sent the emails both on August 30th and 31st. In the email, there was some more information on what the next steps are for those receiving the grant. For those who are not receiving the grant, we're going to essentially give you the opportunity to reach out to SBDC in late September to find out a little bit more about your application. Okay, some of the innovative strategies that were awarded the grant was the creation of website or online presence, creation of social media presence. Many businesses wanted to create a mobile app. They were expanding their business to be a delivery of goods. They were incorporating significant energy saving strategies, enhancing customer experience, utilizing technology. And I'll give you a quick example here. So let's say I sit down in a restaurant. I can open up the app on that restaurant and make an order on my phone, and it'll go directly to the kitchen, as opposed to waiting for the waiter or waitress to come over, take my order, my drink order. I'm able to do it through my app. So that's really, I think, a great example of innovative strategy to help create a better customer service experience, create a more efficient business for you, and be able to save money too on the turnaround of time. So expansion to add customers with disabilities. Many of the overlooked populations out there, of course, are disabilities. And so there were some great business ideas that were going to be more inclusive of adding or allowing people with disabilities to utilize their product or service. One application that the committee loved was replacing gas-powered tools with electric tools. We had many landscaping businesses apply, and some of them had the innovation to replace their gas-powered tools with electric tools, which obviously will save significant amount of money over the long run. So some of the best practices I want to give an idea of what we're doing to protect your data. All the financials were shredded after we reviewed for eligibility. The committee did not see any financials. We shredded all the financials from all the applications. That's to protect your data from anybody outside of the SBDC. Applicants not receiving grants, once again, we're not going to publicize those businesses that did not receive a grant, because we don't want to have any business feel like, well, they're publicly shaming me because I didn't receive a grant. All applications will continue to be in the possession of the Virgin Islands Small Business Development Center. Those applications are not going anywhere else. We are bound by federal guidelines for document storage and accessibility. Nobody has access to these applications except the Virgin Islands Small Business Development staff, and that will continue to be so. Once again, SBDC we notified applicants via email who awarded the grant, and to collect the payment information. Virgin Islands Economic Development Authority, they're going to actually be issuing the checks to all of those folks who responded to the emails and did what they were supposed to do in the emails. Of course, now it's your responsibility as a business owner to make sure, once again, you follow the instructions that were emailed to the email that you submitted on your application. Once again, we're not going to contact applications who are not awarded the grant, because we have such a small staff. We don't have the capacity to do that. And then here's your opportunity. If you have questions about why you did not receive the grant, we're asking that you wait until after September 30th to make an appointment so we can review your specific grant on why your specific business did not receive the grant. So please, once again, be patient and know that we will attempt to get with everybody who did not receive the grant. Before I go to the next one. Okay, so how are you going to prepare for the next opportunity? Well, the very first thing is I would say, if an opportunity like this or any other opportunity for funding comes available, make sure you follow instructions, right? The instructions are not there just to take up space. They're there specifically for the purpose to make sure that you meet the eligibility requirements and you follow the process to submit your application. Submit your own application. I don't know how many applications the staff and the committee saw that were duplicate applications, where you had one person submitting applications for 10 to 12 different businesses, and they're all cookie cutter applications. And if one was incomplete or didn't answer the questions, then 10 or 12 of them were incomplete, didn't answer the questions. So that automatically disqualified a lot of those folks because somebody else submitted their own application that was missing documents or didn't meet the requirements. And at the very beginning, we made sure that we communicated to submit your own application. Don't wait for your bookkeeper or your tax preparer, or don't pay somebody to submit your application for you. Virgin Islands Small Business Development Center, our services are no cost. So we encourage people to make appointments with SBDC staff prior to submitting their applications to put your application in the best possible position to receive money. Now, you did not have to be a client of SBDC to receive the grant. Many of our own clients did not receive the grants. But one of the things I want to go back to is make sure that you submit your own application going forward. You're in charge of all the steps for your business's best opportunity to receive money. Keep accurate records. We've had several businesses come to the SBDC. They had no idea what a profit and loss statement was. They had no idea what a balance sheet was. They had no idea how their bookkeeper or their accountant does any of this stuff for them, right? So as a business owner, you need to be responsible, understand the financial aspects of running a business. SBDC does classes all the time on financial literacy, understanding financials, from a profit loss statement to how to project financials, how to know whether or not you're actually being charging too much or too little. Very oftentimes we find businesses are not charging enough for their products or service. So you want to make sure that you keep accurate records so that when an opportunity like this comes up, you have those records available to submit for the next opportunity. Elaborate as much as possible on your answers. I alluded to this earlier, is when we ask those questions, those are the three innovative questions. That was your opportunity to answer as best as you possibly can what you're going to do for the money. But if somebody else filled the application in for you, just know that they answered the same question for the other 10 clients that they were representing as well. Providing all the required documents, once again, simply following instruction. Don't provide unnecessary information or documents. That just clogs up your application. Great example of this is tax returns. We never asked for tax returns, yet we received thick packets of tax returns, all kinds of other documents that really had nothing to do with the grant. And so that was just, quite honestly, it was a waste of paper, which I'm not too happy about wasting so much paper. But essentially, those documents were not into play as well. Review the application before you submit. Once again, from signing the application to making sure all the documents are in there. Try to attend any webinar training in advance of the actual grant or during the grant process or the opportunity process to make sure that you thoroughly understand what's going on with a particular grant. And of course, seek qualified resources for assistance, right? SBDC is one of the resources here. SCORE is another one, right? You could have gone to other resources to help assist for you for qualified resources. But just know that the help was there for businesses prior to submitting their application. It's just, unfortunately, many folks saw a source that wasn't necessarily qualified to prepare a document that would have been a best position for your particular business. And of course, where can I find more information? Just overall, generally, you can reach out to St. Thomas, St. John office 693-1694, St. Croix office 692-4294. You can find us on our website. You can follow us on our social media, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. You can download our app directly from right here. If you have a phone, go ahead and take out your phone, download the QR code and have the SBDC app right on your phone. But I want to go back oops, nope, I'm not going to go back here. So I'm going to stop sharing, and it's going to be my mug right now. So I want to thank you to all the businesses that took time and submitted their application. Now, the only thing I ask is for your patience and diligence. I expect a level of professionalism from all businesses here in the territory, and I don't know to what type of history has has been going on before I came to the SBDC, but know that every application was given the appropriate time, objectivity, and attention that it deserved. And we're going to try once again to reach out to everybody as best as we possibly can and give them an idea of what's going on with the application if they did not receive the grant. My only ask is that when you contact our offices, make sure that you're respectful to the staff. No threats are made to the staff. Unfortunately, we've already received a lot of threats, which is actually disappointing and disheartening. There's a lot of comments about federal grants and no transparency, things of that nature. Well, once again, as I just mentioned in the webinar, is we're not going to disclose all of the information for those people who did not receive grants, because we don't want them to feel shamed that we're publicly putting out there that they did not receive the grant. As the governor's office, it's their priority to do what it is that they're going to do with the information of those who did receive the grant. I cannot speak on behalf of governor's office, but more than likely there's going to be some sort of a reception, some sort of general acknowledgement of those who did receive the grants. And I'm hoping that they're going to go ahead and just share all the information with the territory of those who received the grant, and potentially how much each recipient did actually get awarded. So, but once again, we're going to continue to work with the governor's office to make sure that we are being as transparent as possible. And just know that once again, our main goal at the SBDC is to provide the support and resources for all entrepreneurs and small businesses in the territory. And that's our mission. It has been for 37 years. It'll be for the next 37 years. So once again, if you have questions about your specific grant and why you did not receive the grant, please do not call the SBDC right now, because we're still in the process of getting in touch with those who did receive the grants. And second of all, this is the end of our fiscal year. So we're in the process ourselves of actually submitting our federal grant to Congress and SBA. So right now we don't have a lot of capacity to answer a lot of phone calls and emails regarding your specific individual application that did not receive a grant. Please email, call back, and we're asking if you can do this after September 30th. Next week, the week of Labor Day, September 5th through the 9th, SBDC is going to be off island attending our annual conference where we do professional development. We do a lot of learning of different topics, from cybersecurity to financial strategies to marketing. So we're actually going to be off island. So just know that if you reach out to SBDC the week of September 5th through the 9th, more than likely you will not be able to get a hold of anybody. But please feel free to leave a message, send us an email, and we'll get back with you as best as we possibly can. Once again, I want to thank all of you. Special thanks to Governor Bryan for this truly, truly historic, innovative opportunity for small businesses. 99.999% of the time, the Virgin Islands SBDC tells small businesses there are no grants available for private businesses. Well, here's that 0.0001%. And I'm really, really glad that this opportunity presented itself. The governor recognized that small businesses were hurting, and this is just a small way for him to allow small business to have a little bit of a chance to kind of get back on their feet and once again be innovative in their thinking, because we cannot continue to rely on the same old thinking of, if we continue to do this, we're going to have success. If anything taught us, if COVID taught us anything, it's the fact that we can't do the same thing over and over again and expect the same results. That's the definition of insanity. So please, please be innovative. If you need help, reach out to the SBDC. We'll be more than happy to work with you, help innovate your businesses, help figure out what's going to be best for your businesses. Reach out to SCORE. That's another fantastic resource down here in the Virgin Islands. So I want to thank you all. Wish you all a very happy and safe Labor Day weekend. I know that once again, we're going to be traveling off island to attend the conference next week. But please, please feel free to reach out to the SBDC specifically about your business. and we can discuss why it in fact either was not eligible or did not receive the grant. But once again, I ask that you do that after September 30th. That way, that'll allow us to get through our particular grant period and also to make sure that we get back from our conference and be prepared to best serve you, the residents of the Virgin Islands. So thank you all to my staff, my tremendous, amazing staff on St. Croix, Janae, Karen for handling all the applications in St. Croix, Jamari, who is a bright shining star for the St. Thomas office, fielding a lot of questions via email, telephone, in-person walk-ins, Sharika Industrial Phillips, getting our information out there, Mary Jo Williams, whom everybody knows Mary Jo on the island, helping small businesses, Raymond Henry, who is a valued advisor, our banking expert, working with his clients. And of course, one of the glue that keeps us all together and running is Deborah Peterson Thompson, who's our fiscal officer, who makes sure that we're doing all things objectively and transparent, because we also obviously have to meet both local and federal transparency requirements. And of course, the advisor to Governor Bryant, Ms. Santa Smith. Thank you very much for this opportunity. And we're really excited. This hopefully will be a platform to increase sustainability and resilience for all small businesses in the territory going forward. Thank you very much. Have a fantastic Labor Day weekend and be safe. All right, bye-bye.